Well, they say time flies when you're having fun, so I must be having a blast because time is whizzing by. It seems like it was yesterday I went to Brimfield, got stuck in the mud and all that stuff happened, but it was actually in May. That was the spring Brimfield session, and we're just about to hit the summer one. Because of what happened the last time with the space being flooded and not being able to sell and all that, the guys at New England Motel Field have given me an amazing space for this time, so I'm excited. I think it's going to go well, and I'll be packing all this week to get ready to go. And I figured while I'm packing that I would show you some stuff that I've either upgraded, changed, whatever, since the last time you looked at the bus. First of all, it's great to be back in the bus after having Max in the shop last week. I mentioned briefly in the last video that there's no transmission issue, which is fantastic. It ended up to be a sensor, and that's the cam sensor, crank sensor, torque sensor, whatever, some other kind of sensor, depending on who you're talking to. It's got a million names. But at any rate, it was a sensor. Unfortunately, while they were test driving it to figure that out, the throttle cable broke. And the throttle cable has turned out to be a bigger issue than the sensor was because it's a hard part to get. The part is no longer made by Ford, and everything I read online suggested to me that it was a good idea to use an OEM part rather than an aftermarket part for this particular thing. So I searched and searched. I couldn't find an OEM part, neither could the mechanic. And their parts guy, wasn't going to be able to get it to them for like 3 or 4 days. I'm impatient, plus this is my house and my only vehicle. I volunteered to get the part myself and bring it over to them, which is what I did. I did find an aftermarket part at O'Reilly, picked it up, delivered it to the shop. Great. The only problem is, it's not exactly working out perfectly, and since I picked up the part myself, I don't have a whole lot of recourse. I can ask them to redo it, but it's hard because this is my part, and it feels like the part is the problem. What happens is when I step on the pedal, I gotta go all the way to the floor just to get to like 55 miles an hour, and that's not how things normally are. Max is like a rocket ship, right? You step on the pedal just barely, and zoom, you're booming. My foot's never even come close to the floor before. Now, I literally have to floor it to get to 55, which is no fun. And Max is usually pretty fun to drive, so yeah, I'm hoping I can fix that. I'm not going to really be able to tackle this until after Brimfield because I just have too much going on, and it's not like I can't get there. I can only wrap my head around so many things. I've got some great suggestions on how to fix this problem from mainly from the folks over at oilburners.net, but I can't really do it until I get back from Brimfield because there's just too much to think about in the meantime. So that's the update on the mechanical problems. Now, I get asked constantly to update on the bed situation. Everybody wants to know how I replaced the Murphy bed. Well, I'm going to show you right now. Wow, it's blowing up. Check that out. First of all, I found this on Amazon, which, of course, the color and the stripes and everything just kind of got me right off the bat because, I like patterns, right? Pretty solid, hard foam, which is what I like. And it's 3 sections. It's 39 inches wide and 75 inches long, which is too long for this bus, as we already know, but I'm going to fix that. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to fix it in my own way. My fix is going to turn out to need some fixing. That's kind of always the way it is with me. Initially, I thought I would just sleep on it on the floor, but I really don't like sleeping on the floor. I like to be up like at least a little bit. I found a little wooden futon frame that was pretty inexpensive and simple, and it arrived in a box in about 100 pieces, and I had to assemble it. It also had this little extension that was like for your feet, like to make it into kind of a lounger. I had to take that part off because it didn't really fit here in the bus. Once I assembled it, I put the trifold mattress on it. It's not really designed to go on a frame, so the bottom part just kind of stuck really far out, and which kind of defeated the purpose of folding it up, because I wanted it to be a little more against the wall so I could still use the back door. So I had the bright idea, and I don't think this is a bad idea, I just think I lack the skills to execute it properly. What I decided was that I needed to separate the bottom piece and reattach it using a piece of fabric that would allow it to kind of loop under the first piece. Instead of there being like this gap where the two cushions meet, the one that's on the seat would be tucked straight under the one that creates the back of the sofa. So, okay, sounds good, right? But when I tried to open up the seam, the fabric just kind of came apart because, number one, I probably wasn't doing it right, and number two, it's pretty thin fabric. It's not like super sturdy. So, first I reached out to like an upholstery person that does like bench seats and stuff for boats, and they looked at it and said, I can't fix that, the fabric's too shot. So, okay, well, they can't fix it. That doesn't mean I can't fix it, because I can always come up with something, right? I am a resourceful person. I broke out the hot glue gun, and I also used this opportunity to cut the mattress down a little shorter. It left me with enough fabric to cover the whole piece. Now, it's not pretty, but it covers it anyway, so it's not going to come apart. So I whipped out my glue gun and I glued along basically where what had been the zipper, which doesn't function as a zipper anymore, and I just closed it up. Now, if I tuck that piece under the other one, perfecto, works out great. The worst problem, though, is with this back piece. The back piece, yeah. The back piece pretty much shredded when I cut them, so how am I going to deal with that? I ordered this heavy-duty tape that's designed to fix like holes in a canvas tarp or a canopy or something like that, and I just taped it up. I mean, it's flexible. It's meant to go on fabric, this tape. It's for fabric. So I just taped it up, and I put the part that looks shitty behind the sofa, and I moved the part that looks good to the front. So there you go. Here is my new bed. Here it is as a sofa. And here it is folded down into a bed. This is not ultimately what I would like, but I couldn't figure out how to build what I did want, so sometimes you just gotta go with what you can. It's so much better than I had before because I can actually easily slide the frame out, put the mattress on it, and sleep. And it's super comfortable. So that's kind of the point, right? I used the concealer part of the Murphy bed, the part with the shelves on it, to create kind of a feeling of a bedroom around this thing. When I'm traveling, this is what I do with the bookshelves.
The box that goes around the books is actually the box that the pieces of the futon frame came in. You know, the 100 pieces I had to put together.
This keeps everything in place.
And of course it's held in by E-Track. Eventually I want to cover the outside of the box with pictures of books so that, you know, it just looks like there's books on the shelf all the time.
Okay, you were with me when I made that first kind of jacked up window screen with the blue tape all around and everything. Yeah. Well, I made the other three, and then after I did, I went back and remade the first one, and I got a different kind of screen, and it doesn't unravel as much. And then I actually made metal end panels for it, so that the pieces still roll up, but there's a rigid piece on the end that holds them in place. When I redid the tape, I did it with aluminum tape, so that it's basically the same color as the end pieces, and it just looks a little bit nicer. Another upgrade, I added some fans, and I did that because it's summertime now and I don't have air conditioning. So I've added these little fans here. They sit right in front of the window, so they circulate air that's coming in pretty nicely. I added this big chrome baby because it makes me feel like a real bus driver.
Oh yeah, and I put in some groovy color-changing LED lights. Just stick-ons from Home Depot.
So that's the update. Those are the things that I've switched around and altered. I mean, I've done a bunch of other little stuff like putting some new hinges on some things and stuff like that, but you don't need to hear about all that. That's just boring. Oh! The other thing you do need to hear about, though, is I hung up my sheep. I had to rearrange all the art at the front because I had to make room for my sheep that I got at Brimfield the last time. He looks great up there. Bah. Bah. Okay, I'll catch you next time. Happy 4th of July weekend. It's past the 4th, so can't say happy 4th of July, but happy 4th of July weekend, and I hope I'm going to see you on Tuesday for live. If I don't, have a great week. If I do, yay!